would you guys say the rising default with credit card debt and auto loans, could one of those contributing factors be the fact that people are being laid off from their jobs, like one of the points Brian brought up?
I think it's part of it, and I think part of it is just it's spending too much of their monthly income and the inability to repay, because the things you have to eat, you got to pay your rent. So people are going to start making choices. If I got to have a roof over my head, number one, I got to have food on my table, number two. Those are my number one and my number two. My $1,000 car payment is number three, a distant number three. So instead of $1,000, I can get in a $300, $400, $500 car payment. That already helps me. But those defaults are a condition of, yes, maybe unemployment, tightening economics. But again, if I'm spending more on rent because I just renewed or I just moved, and I'm spending more on gas, I'm spending more on my car, then those are all basically competing for my earned dollars, and something's going to have to fall off.
Well, now I have a question for Brian. If we're seeing more default with just credit card debt and auto debt, do you see more defaults in mortgage debt happening? Maybe not later this year, but maybe next year?
So one of the things we talked about and been talking about earlier this year is that consumers will pay their house up until they can't anymore, and that's going to be their most important payment. So everything else will fall before that falls. So before people stop paying their houses, we're going to see credit card default, we're going to see student debt default, we're going to see auto defaults, and then the big one will fall. But keep a close eye on those starting to fall first, and we're already seeing those signalings right now that they're going up. There's a lot of stress in those sectors. So as soon as those dominoes start to fall, expect the big one to come as it goes.
And remember, people have a lot of equity. So while they can maybe still afford on paper and they need that HELOC, or they have to sell, let's say they can't refinance, it doesn't make sense financially, maybe it doesn't. But let's say they have to sell their place. Well, that brings a new house to the market for inventory purposes. Then they would be able to get out from underneath that, maybe pay off their debt. Maybe they can save the car and get rid of the payment by paying it off. Maybe they can pay off all their credit card or part of their student loans or whatever, and thus free up their income while they're still employed, thus allowing their money to be used for the new rent of wherever they got to go and paying for food and groceries and bills and that kind of thing.
I have maybe a guess. I think, we're in a situation where we're in a candle that's burning on both ends. And until one of them burns faster, then we're going to see one of the things fall. I believe that the Fed wants to see one of these things fall and have there be pain in the economy and the consumers for them to be like, okay, well, now that's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt a lot. So now you can't spend. And now that's going to start to bring down that slow effect of it's transitioning over to people stop spending because of the fact that the dominoes are falling financially. And now your situation is like, hey, I don't have more budget. I don't have more to go back and be able to pay or stay afloat for a couple of months. You're capped out. So once that happens, I feel we could start seeing things to switch over. Yeah. But we'll see. Like I said, I don't know. I do
see that over the next couple of years, there's going to be a big demand for credit restoration. That's going to be something that people are going to need to get their credit back up again. I really don't know how it's going to play out, guys, with car repossessions, credit card defaults, and the student loan thing. I mean, people are going to be coming under pressure. I think it would be dishonest for us to sit here and pretend like that's not happening in the lives of people, because off camera, off mic, these are the conversations that we're having with people. They're telling us they're feeling under pressure. And you can see their spending habits change. You can see their spending behaviors changing. Their habits are changing. They're going places less. And yes, it might look like on social media I'm out all the time and I'm doing all this stuff. But I'm telling you, man, I'm already talking to people right now that are really having some honest conversations around the table with their spouse going, what are we going to do and how are we going to make it out of this?
I feel like you look at the news, you look at the media, and people are portraying and putting what they think and want people to see. But in reality, if you want to know the truth, talk to your people, talk to your closest people, talk to your closest friends, talk to your family members. If they're honest, they'll tell you where they're at, and that's enough you need to know to get a good idea of what actual people are going through. And all these numbers could be great. You see everything, economy's great, this and that, but talk to the real people that are in the economy, that work the economy, that make the economy. You'll see where they're at.
Yeah, that's right. And, they might be hard conversations to start, but, also there's a sense of commonality when people are able to talk about those things together and go, you know what, I'm feeling that same point too. I'm feeling that same pain. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm trying. Here's what I heard. Here's what I learned. And then be able to share that from a person-to-person perspective, which I think is also going to be very useful. So